Talked to author Michelle Medina, and she actually has this book that she written. When it's time to let go, taking control of abuse. She is a survivor of domestic violence, and we try to, here on the Trip Over Radio show, we definitely try to, expand the boundaries of the things of our experiences that we, go through in here, especially when it comes to, certain type of relationships and whatnot. So we definitely always try to still be mindful and still have platforms for people to, express, things that's going on outside of sex and drugs or whatever. So right now, I'm going to read a little bit of the back, and then we're going to go into talk to Michelle. Based on a compelling true story of a once loving relationship that ventures through an awful turn of events and snowballs, let me read again. Based on a compelling true story of once loving relationship that ventures through an awful turn of events and snowballs into violent episodes of abuse. C, the master manipulator, conceals his deviant acts from the battered victim until he explodes into a tyrannical rage and unleashes his dark side. And entangled in his web of lies and paralyzed by fear of the subtle and unwarranted attacks, deceit prevails with erroneous promises for the assault to cease. Any sign of rejecting her batterer transform the verbal altercations into physical violence with threats of bodily harm, propositioning hopelessness and any success to escape. Everyone, Michelle Medina, welcome to the Trip Over Radio Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
One of the things that I first want to ask you, first thing I want, of course, as people should, commend you on your bravery.
Thank you.
Because not a lot of women are honest enough or bold enough to really document their story the way that you have. So why did you decide to actually do it?
I guess the reason why I decided to write this story is because there's so many people that are going through domestic violence and they're not talking about it, whether they're ashamed or whether they've been threatened. I found it was my outlet to kind of talk about what I've been through to help other people come out of their situations.
Mm-hmm. How long were you married?
About 2 years.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about C. Is that his name? His name for short, or
hypothetically speaking?
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, how did you two come about, and how did you meet, and where did you meet?
Well, basically, I was at an all-you-can-eat buffet, and I met him, and then we kind of got together. After that, he wanted to speed things along rather quickly. I wanted to slow things down. Things did move kind of fast, and we wound up living together. And eventually, we did get married. So it was about maybe 4 months into it, but he changed. He basically was very nice looking, and he charmed me. He wined me, he dined me, and then it got to a point where once he put the ring on the finger, he changed. He was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And that's when he became very verbally abusive, and then that transformed into physical. It got to a point where I couldn't take anymore, and I just had to leave. So there were just a lot of things that he did, a lot of odd things that he did, like he brought his friends home because he was a hustler, and that's how he made his money. So he would bring his friends home to spend the night, and he started staying out late at night. He was drinking, and he just showed just very odd behavior, and it got to a point where I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
Okay. So he was a dealer.
I don't know exactly what he did. Mm-hmm. I knew he used to hustle like the stuff out of his trunk. You know what I'm saying?
One of those master sellers of everything.
Yeah.
Y'all got these two dogs. I got a satellite. I got
in his trunk.
Yeah.
So, not to take anything off of him, because he definitely has some responsibility. But especially because there's women listening. What could you say? I read in your book that you had a part. You were like, I did this thing for him because he asked me to, and I felt important. So, like, what's something that you would say that you sought out of this situation that made you feel connected inside and like kind of fed into that? Because maybe women can connect and understand how abuse works. Because I dig. Trust me, we're here.
Right. No, what it all turns out is I was at a low in my life, and he came it was the timing that he showed up that I could help you. I'll take care of you. I'll whatever you need, I'm there for you. And he showed me that, and I thought it was genuine that he was, he was going to help me, with my situation, but it all came with a consequence.
Right.
It just got to a point where I did this for you, now you need to do this for me.
How much time do you think it took for you to be aware to these things? So the price that you were agreeing to pay unknowingly.
Well, I knew it when the verbal abuse and the physical abuse started, but things came up. Like in the book, it'll show like different things came up. I was at a point where I was fighting for custody for my oldest son. His father had taken me to court, and I had to prove that I had a stable household.
Right.
And I knew that it wasn't stable, but I tried my best to try to hold it together, and it got away from me. So I wound up losing custody of my oldest son. And then when I was ready to leave, when I thought he was cheating, I got pregnant. So now I'm pregnant. I'm stuck with this man. What do I do? Where am I going to go? So I stayed there. I'm okay. We're having a baby, thinking things will get better. They didn't get better because it was a point where I was pregnant. He put his hands around my throat while I was pregnant, thinking he wouldn't touch me while I'm pregnant. And then once I had the baby, and there was a time when I asked him to watch the baby in the crib, and somehow a blanket got wrapped around his head, and the baby was fluttering, which is my youngest son.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
now joining us now, everyone's favorite on-air personality, of course.
I don't know about that.
Kay Kapoor from
Thanks
the
for
Cupcake
having
Caddy,
me.
from the
Thanks for having
Cupcake
me.
Caddy radio show.
I'm over there steaming, getting upset. I'm
Also, alumni of the Triple radio show. Kay Kapoor.
boy. It pains me to hear this, and I think there are a lot of women who are dealing with abuse who don't really understand that they're dealing with abuse.
exactly.
So I dealt with some abuse and didn't know it was abuse
Right.
until it was physical.
Right.
And so because my eyes weren't being blackened, I didn't believe I was being abused, but I was. And it gradually just got intensified.
Yes.
And so I'm really sorry this happened to you, but I'm glad that you're telling the story.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
When it was exposed to the children, what did your children understand of it? Is it did they just understand that daddy's hitting mommy, or did they understand that just they're fighting? Did they understand the extremity of exactly what you were going through?
Well, at that time, my son, he was a baby. He wasn't even 1 year old. So he didn't have any understanding of what was going on. When it was a point where he would get mad at me and throw things at me and hit the baby in the back of the head by accident.
What the hell's wrong with him?
Yeah. That's when I had to take my child and leave.
Get me mad at him. Where did you go? Leave to where, though?
I went to my mother's. Because that was the only place that I could go. And that's where a lot of victims don't have that choice.
That's true.
They might not have anywhere to go. They might not. A shelter is the only option that they have.
Yeah.
So it's good that victims. Yeah.
Sometimes not even then, because if you don't have a police report or you don't have any type of evidence, you don't have something to back up your story, and it just becomes you against whoever it is.
Right.
And it's easily overlooked sometimes. And like, what would you tell someone in this situation? In like, what is your wisdom coming out of all of this? Like, is there a way that you could say, like, I was able to kind of pinpoint these things early on? Or when you did realize, and looking back with 2020 hindsight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a point where you could say, oh, if I did recognize this a little bit sooner, I did recognize that this is what the situation actually was? Like, what would you tell women to help them be aware of these things?
Well, the best thing that I could tell is pay attention to how that person treats other people. Because guaranteed, if he gets angry and it's not an anger, it's more of a rage, you know that eventually he's going to turn that on you.
A common problem or a misconception. Was everyone that knew about your abuse, were they all supportive of you? Did any of them make it seem like, you might be, are you sure? Or are you sure this is what you're going through? Maybe he's just going through something. Did you find people more supportive of him as opposed to believing you? Or
Well, one thing that I can say is his family, they knew him. And it was like they didn't really believe me when I told them about it. My family was supportive of me because they've seen how he acted when he got into those jealous rages, when he was stalking me. He's watching the house. He's harassing me. He's threatening me, But that's what victims need. They need a good support system for someone to actually listen to them and not judge them.
Right, need someone to believe, right?
Need someone to believe them, because the moment that you call them stupid or why didn't you leave? You stupid. I wouldn't have ever done that. When you treat them like that, they're very vulnerable at that time and they are broken. And if anything, listen to them. And to be honest, support groups is the absolute best thing is the beginning process of healing.
Couple more quick questions. Now I know you went through the restraining orders and the hiding. How helpful was that? Was that really helpful when you going through restraining orders? Did he finally get the message? Did he stay away? Did he keep coming back?
It was a little helpful at first, but he would always tell me, that's just a piece of paper, and if I want to get you, I'll get you. And not a piece of paper or a policeman or a judge will stop me from getting you.
That man was.
Did that ever?
He
become
wasn't
the
well.
case?
I'm sorry.
Did that ever become the case, like where if you had the proper paperwork to protect yourself, did that ever become the case?
Well, he violated one of the orders of protection, and one of them he tried to steal my son from the babysitter. So I had to go back to court, get another order. But it helped when I got the stay away order of protection, which was for 5 years. And with that, he basically threatened me. And a lot of times when you're going for something like that, a weapon would have to be involved. Otherwise, they're not easy to get. And I had to go to trial to get it. So I had to relive it all over again.
That's effed up. I'm just saying effed because the kids are here.
Yes.
Because I really want to say something else, but I'm not going to do that.
Yep. I had to go to trial. And he would sit there and look at me, and I have to tell everything that he's ever done to me. And I cried. I couldn't even hold the tears back, because now I have to prove to a judge, to a lawyer, and anybody else that he actually abused me in order for you to get him to stay away from me and leave me alone.
Wow, that's horrible.
When was your time when you realized you weren't afraid anymore?
It took a while. Even after I left him, he called my job 567 times.
Wow.
Is that a real number?
Yes. Yes.
What
it
is
is
the
a real
time
number.
period of that number? That's like a ridiculous number.
That was back in 2007. He must have been working with 2 cell phones, and he was calling my job, and he was harassing me. But luckily, they were retired police officers.
So they knew he wasn't well.
No, I
They
was
know,
just wondering, was it like a week, 2 weeks, a month?
Oh,
2
one
months?
day.
In a day?
One day, yes.
So he just sat.
day.
I know what he did.
One day.
He did what teenage girls do when their heart's been broken, and he had the whole day. He just as soon as it didn't go, he didn't
Just
have
like
a
hang
response.
up, call
He
back,
just hang up, call back, hang up, call back, hang
Yep.
up.
To get me
That's
fired.
why you make your fucking voicemail not your voice. So that people don't get obsessed by just listening to your voice. If they can't hear you, they'll just call
That's
back
good
to
too.
your
That's a good
voice.
idea too.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Did you ever consider getting a weapon? Did you get one eventually? Or no?
Ooh, good question.
I didn't. I didn't. I mean, right now at this point, I'm okay in my life. You know, like he is out there. I do know that, and I'm promoting this book. And I don't know what's going to happen when he find out about it, because apparently he doesn't know about it because he hasn't contacted me yet. But I'm not going to worry about that.
No,
I'm
you're
going to
not.
keep doing what I need to do.
Absolutely.
And he knows I will call cops on him if he starts bothering me again. And we'll just go down that road again if we have to.
Is he afraid of the cops? Like, does he have any fear of them and the repercussions and the consequences?
He'll run from the cops, but he won't stand there. When I call them, he'll leave before they show up. So he, in a sense, yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
he ain't hardcore.
Yeah.
He ain't about that life.
He ain't about that life. He ain't. He don't want it.
Okay, so that kind of like just my other question. So the question that I have left is that like, what would you say to him if, like, let's say he finds out about this book.
Okay.
Let's say he decides he's going to come and confront you about it in a public space. What is something, like, what would you say to him if he just came to you like, yo, what the fuck is this about? Like, what would you say to him besides fuck yourself?
That's a good question.
Well, I'll just tell him, I'm like, look, I'm not doing this to bash anybody. The reason why I'm doing this is to help other people who are going through this. That's the only purpose of me doing this. I didn't mention his name. Only people that knew I was married to him would know that that's him. But I didn't mention your name, and a lot of stuff that I could have done,
You didn't.
I didn't do.
You still sound way civil.
That's what
way
I'm
more
saying.
civil than I would be.
No, that she does. She does.
I would be on some petty shit like, hey, so yeah, this is my book. I wrote it. It's my life. And if you don't like it, you should have lived differently. Fuck out my face.
That's
like
right.
I would put that
That's what I would say.
You're being like so gracious right now, and I'm just
She
like,
is.
fuck this motherfucker.
I almost feel like you're being like you would be too nice. Not that you need to be an ass,
Right,
you know.
right.
But even having to explain anything to him for what?
Right.
He isn't. You know, he wasn't victimized in any way.
Exactly.
So the
Exactly.
idea that you still want to, you know, to rationalize it and kind of give him some information about it lets me know that you're still in a place of healing.
Right.
Right?
Just as a
I am.
round table to piggyback off that question, like a round table to all of this, why do we feel like that? Like, why do we
gotta
as women,
validate.
if we are victims of something, we still feel the need
I know.
to, like, just placate our abuser or
Yeah,
placate
it's
the person that made us feel like shit,
true.
Right,
and be
right.
like, oh, we don't want to hurt your feelings, and maybe it's because we don't want to hurt them anymore, so they don't hurt us anymore.
Right,
Even if
right.
we pass the point where they can hurt us, we're still like, oh, I'm sorry about all that. If you feel
Yeah.
away, I just blah, 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 blah. We feel the need to explain ourselves.
It's
Like,
true.
why is that? And then why is it that people that are in the space of abuser feel like they are owed an explanation for any way
right?
that
Don't
you
they?
choose to heal? I'm just throwing those questions out there for
Right,
the
right.
Yeah. No,
Right.
that's good. Those are good.
Sure. Because I know we're running out of time, but I know we definitely wanted to talk about the North Carolina law. It's the only one in the country,
What is it?
and
It's an old ass law.
it was enacted in 1979. Which go ahead, well, you elegantly explain.
I mean, I call it bullshit.
I
Because
understand.
when it's enacted in 1979, that shows you exactly what they think about women in the beginning of the 80s, which was not too long ago, guys.
No, it
That's
wasn't.
like my whole lifetime, okay? So it's a old timey law, as I call it, where a woman cannot withdraw consent after
Oh,
she
she's
has
been
said
into- yes.
to some type of sexual encounter or sexual intimacy with a man. When she says yes, agrees to go back to your house or whatever.
Well,
like,
they
yeah, we're
don't
doing this.
necessarily matter. Just
She
said,
can't
Well,
change her
with
mind.
gay-
it doesn't matter.
Well,
In the
specifically
interim.
with a man, because North Carolina is also one of those states that does not recognize same-sex anything. So
Very
just
good.
putting that out there.
Very good.
So it is actually with
Well,
a man.
man. Okay.
But
That's
if
good
I
stuff.
let's say I meet you at a bar.
Right, a bar.
And we hit it off. You
Hit
buy
it
me
off.
drinks. We go home. It's like all giggly, and
Hey,
good
hey.
feels, right?
Oh, Bill Cosby-ish.
If I
Don't talk about Bill
decide,
like that.
I'm just
we not talking about Bill
No, we're not gonna
today. That's a whole other conversation, right? But like once let's say we go home and I decide, I'm not really feeling this anymore. I don't want to do. We didn't even do anything yet, but you still got the feels. You're like, hey, I'm ready to go. We're going to do this. I am not allowed to withdraw my consent. So
Once
essentially,
it began.
you can legally rape a woman in North Carolina and not be convicted of rape. You can sexually assault somebody, put them in any situation which takes their consent away, because once they give you that consent, they're not allowed to withdraw it. And there's been lobbies trying to overturn it. However, none of those lobbies are successful, and to this day, actually, North Carolina just went into I believe they just went into a summer session with their state.
That law is
thing.
probably going to still be in existence for at least another couple of years, because it has to go through a few channels before it's finally voted out. Hopefully, shout out to Jeff Jackson.
Why
Jeff
is this so
Jackson.
long, though?
No,
I'm asking
the
your
channel.
opinion, you know what I'm saying?
I
Because
don't
it's just
know.
some shit that made me trip.
But
why?
now I know that now being from the experiences that you went through with your husband and whatnot.
Ex-husband, right?
Ex-husband.
All right, let's be clear.
Ex-husband. Thank God, ex-husband. And the thing about it is was there any time that you were forced to do something that you didn't want to do? And if you weren't, hopefully you weren't, what is your take on that particular law? And as it relates to women and saying no? And because in that
You mean self-defense?
well, self-defense, and then maybe you have to start defining what is definition of no in those
What do you
places.
mean, what's the
definition of
definition
no?
It means don't
It-
touch
no.
me.
It's
Hell
no.
no. I'm
No,
not with it.
No, but
I have a
bueno.
great example
Fuck
of that.
outta
that
here.
let
happened.
her answer the
It's
question.
great.
Let my guest answer the
Yeah.
question.
I'll be honest. I mean, there was a point I did write in the book where, because he felt that he was my husband, I was obligated to satisfy that part, and it wasn't like that situation in North Carolina,
Yes,
but
indeed, Ken.
it was a situation where he badgered me until I gave in, basically.
Yeah.
But I mean, with that law, I think it's wrong. It's wrong to that once a woman is underway, that she's forced to continue, because that kind of condones violence.
It does.
That's what that is.
And saying that your body doesn't belong to you anymore. That's
Exactly.
what you're basically telling me.
Exactly.
And that happens in relationships.
It sure
that
does.
happens, especially in abusive relationships, but that can happen in a relationship, period.
It happens in many
Somebody
normal,
believes
so-called
they have
unquote,
a right over
normal relationships
Yeah.
where women feel like, they've got to they have to do this maintenance sex so that their men don't cheat, whether they like to, whether they're in the mood, or whether they're not. You think I haven't been guilty of just doing it when I didn't feel like it? I mean, it's not rape, but it's still fucked up.
Right.
That we
how is
feel
it?
this
But is
obligation
it
to
not
do that.
rape? Like, if you don't feel like doing it, you don't have the want or the will to do it. Is it not rape? If you dead fish up somebody because it's just like, fuck it, I'd rather just get it
feels
over
like, no, it
with
feels like
than
rape.
fight because I don't want to do this.
It certainly
Yeah.
Is
feels
that
like
not
rape.
rape?
Yeah.
Like that's and I was married. I had those moments where it's just like I remember being pregnant with my daughter, and my ex came in one day, and he was pissy drunk, and I was just like, I'm just not in this fucking mood. And we had sex, and I was just like, you done yet? Like my whole attitude was like, nigga, are you done yet? I want to go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Or like, whereas when I was a single woman, right? I'm a single woman again now, and luckily I have better sex these days. But when I was a single woman, and I was like stuck with somebody who I was not satisfied with, I would literally just get the fuck up and be like, yo, my door locks behind you. I'm going to go take a bath because that's a better use of my time. And you can get the fuck up out my apartment whenever the fuck you ready to leave. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, is that not rape when somebody takes away your choice to say no? To say, I don't want this anymore. Who really has autonomy over your body?
Right.
You know, who has that authority over your body, rather?
Because we're getting ready to wrap it up. Please tell us, Michelle. Thank you for coming and speaking with us.
Thank you.
Your book is remarkable.
Thank you.
Where can they find your book? Where's your social media handles? And tell us where we can locate you.
You can find me on Facebook. I'm listed under author Michelle Medina, Mechell Medina. I have my Facebook page is also Michelle Medina, And you can buy my book on my website, which is www.michellemedina.com, and that's spelled www.mechellemedina.com.
Okay. That's it. No other social media handles?
I have
Yeah, let's
I have Instagram, I have YouTube, I have Twitter. So you just look up Michelle Medina, the way I spell it, MECHELLMEDINA, and you will find me.
And that's it. When it's time to let go, taking control of abuse. One last word for everyone, men and for women, if you have any particular thing for either one. Last word.
All I can say is anybody who's being victimized, in my book, or you can call the National Domestic Abuse Hotline. You can Google it and get the number, and it's good to go to focus groups because that's how you can begin to heal. They don't judge you, and they kind of like help you go through the steps of leaving if you need to leave, but do understand that a safety plan needs to be devised. Otherwise, your life could depend on it, because depending on different situations, people are crazy. You don't want to hear of someone's life being lost because you left. You have to think first and then go to that focus group and then eventually wean yourself out of that relationship. It helps to emotionally detach yourself from your batterer. Otherwise, you feel sorry for him. You don't want to press charges. You don't want to make him angry. So
You decide to
you have to keep yourself and your kids safe if we have kids involved.
Absolutely. Everybody, Michelle Medina, everyone.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, we